On this episode of the Inside the Trailer Sports Podcast, faces of the league go public for all the wrong reasons.
I want to see me get my joy back from playing basketball.
Can you get your joy back here on the court?
Probably not.
We give our NFL playoff predictions and crown an early Super Bowl champion.
You know, maybe not tonight versus the Lions, but
We're gonna
outside of that, they've been really good. They've been a really good team.
And redraft this year's fantasy football players now that the regular season is over. For fantasy owners, and I feel like Justin Jefferson was Mr. Consistent in this scenario, where he was consistently getting around. All that and more on Inside the Trailer. Welcome back to the Inside the Trailer Sports Podcast. This was a wild week.
Definitely one wild week.
Yeah,
in the sports world.
Yeah, for sure, man. Jimmy Butler, Tyreek Hill, Mayo being fired, and it's all stuff we're going to talk about today, right?
A lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, for sure, man. Let's start off with News Hour because I feel like, sports coverage stuff this week is more important than going into playoff predictions or fantasy redraft stuff. So let's go into News Hour here.
What will fix it? What do you want to see happen to fix it?
What do I want to see happen? I want to see me get my joy back from playing basketball. And wherever that may be, we'll find out here pretty soon. But I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here, off the court. But I want to be back to somewhat dominant. I want to hoop. And I want to help this team win. Right now, I'm not doing that.
Can you get your joy back here on the court?
Probably not.
Jimmy Butler, right? He requests basically a trade by saying that he was unhappy and he doesn't think he's going to be happy anymore as a Heat player.
Yep.
So what do you got for me, man?
Dude, I mean, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I know Jimmy Butler had his problems with the front office. It was kind of expected, but, I mean, for it to go this public was just kind of wild, for him to come out on the post-game interview and say, like, I don't know, if my love for the game is there right now, like, I think I need to go somewhere else to get that back. It's pretty crazy, I mean, to say that pretty publicly. He ends up getting the 7-game suspension by the league. Or sorry, not by the league, but by the team.
By the team.
Which is crazy itself, you know what I mean? But now, we're looking into where is he going to go? Because at this point, it's not going to be Miami. He's going to find his way out one way or another. I know he's got a huge contract, so, salary might be an issue. But,
right, yeah.
There's some teams that could maybe take it on. I don't know if the Heat will want to take back any of the money, you know what I mean, for potential targets.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I know potential trade targets, it's hard to say who's going to be the number one.
Yeah, I don't know.
I keep seeing different sources saying, this team's going to get him, this team's going to get him, but it's really just a bunch of like 5 or 6 different teams, which include the Grizzlies, the Rockets, the Warriors, the Mavs.
The Mavs in there,
the Mavs, and potentially the Suns.
Okay.
Definitely a couple, a list of some really good teams that could use them. A lot of contenders, you know what I mean, in their conferences, but which is where I think he'll end up going, is a contender.
You think so?
Yeah. Even regardless with the contract, I think he'll end up with a contender.
Which makes sense. I feel like all this started. First of all, this came out of nowhere for me. I didn't expect this to happen like right now. I expected it to either be in the off season or just like privately. I didn't expect it to go public.
Right.
But I feel like this is all happening because he has not had the pieces around him for years. The Heat haven't done enough to make them go far, and I feel like that's just what's, when if you're losing every single year in kind of the same fashion and nothing's being changed, obviously you're going to be unhappy.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if, like you're saying, he goes to a contender to be with, in a winning culture, a team that can win now, which is why the Mavs and the Suns are mad scary to me.
Right. I mean, that would be a crazy pickup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, a couple years in his first couple years with the Heat, he had some success. They made the finals 2 times, which is incredible. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but these last 2 seasons have just not been good at all. I'm not even gonna say really good. They've not been good at all.
Yeah.
Little to no success to show for it. And here we are now. You know what I mean? Like now, Jimmy wants out. He doesn't have the joy that he has playing basketball now. He wants to go somewhere else. My prediction is I think he ends up with the Rockets.
Really?
I do. I think the Rockets are still a really young team, and I think they could use a veteran player like Jimmy Butler to come in and, take them far in the playoffs. So I think that's something that they could potentially be missing. besides like Fred VanVleet's there, you've got Jalen Green there. Sengun's been good. They've got a lot of good pieces, but I think someone like Jimmy Butler could be really good for them. But I think that's one of the lead front runners. The Warriors are another front runner right now to make a trade for him. I think those two are kind of the top teams. I think the Grizzlies were another team that could potentially do it.
Yeah.
But I think he either ends up in Houston, which I think is definitely happening.
Yeah.
If not, he's going to Golden State. But I think my prediction is Jimmy Butler is going to be going to the Houston Rockets.
That's an interesting prediction. I like it too. He gets it. He continues to stick with the big man and Steven Adams, right? Because he has Bam.
Yep.
But then you add a young talent in Jalen Green, who is only 22. They technically play the same position, but you can just
you can make it work.
Matter,
They'll make it
You'll
work.
make it work.
They'll make it work.
That's the thing. And they have some younger pieces like Reed Shepard, who is only 20. They have Sengun.
Yeah.
That's another. They have Steven Adams and Sengun at the center position. So that's interesting for how they'll play with him in the lineup, and then obviously Fred VanVleet at point guard. So it's really an interesting placement for him to be. I think he can spend probably the rest of his career as a Rocket in this instance.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have much longer. He's 35, so
right. So we're probably only looking at a few more years,
probably
maybe
a couple
less.
more years. It's kind of crazy for someone at this age, you know what I mean, kind of acting like a diva like this.
This is Jimmy Butler's last dance, but this is what I'm getting at. It is. He wants to play with someone more than just someone with talent, and like the Rockets are a great place for him to go in terms of the team wanting him. I feel like it makes sense for the team, but if he wants to win now, I don't know if he can win with the Rockets.
Well, right now I think the Rockets are sitting at the third seed in the Western Conference, so they're still making a push. So it makes sense. Even if they add him, they're still going to be really good. But I do get what you're saying, though.
It just doesn't feel
because
right.
Like on paper, I get what you're saying. On paper, I think there's other teams in the West that are better.
Yeah.
But I think if you add Jimmy Butler, the Rockets are going to compete right there with them. You know what I mean? They're gonna be. I mean, not that there aren't already, because again, they're so high up in the West.
They're second in the West right now.
They're second in the West, so they've been moving up. So again, like they're going to compete really hard in the West, and
maybe I take it back a little bit, because I think I was leaning more into just like, do I see him as a Rocket? Like, it just doesn't feel
like
right.
How it feels. I get what you're saying. Yeah,
but they'd still be cap compliant. They have enough money to make the move.
Yeah.
And that's one of the more important things because of his massive contract. And so that does make a lot of sense now I'm looking at it.
That's why I see him as going to the Rockets. I think it just makes a lot of sense out of any team that he was going to go to.
Yeah. I mean, could you theoretically see it being a Mavs or a Suns
definitely could.
move too?
I mean, the Suns would be crazy. I definitely do not see that one happening. They put out so much money.
Dude,
KD,
they'd have to move
Booker,
more pieces.
They'd have to move more pieces, and the Suns aren't going to do that. I think the Suns are out of it. Dallas maybe could. I mean, you got Luka there. You've got Kyrie.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you just got Clay in the offseason too. So do they, kind of move around cap room to make space for Butler? Maybe, maybe not. I think that'd be a lot for the Mavs to do. So I'm gonna say no. I mean, again, other teams like the Grizzlies, maybe they might have enough room. They've got a good team as well. That could be, a fun spot right there for him. We already talked about the Warriors. We already talked about the Rockets. I think, was there another team that I'm missing? Grizzlies, Suns, Rockets.
The Warriors. Nets, maybe. I don't
it's
see
just
that happening.
That was another one that got brought up, but the timeline just doesn't work.
It doesn't make sense.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think any team could make the move. I think Jimmy Butler literally just wants to go quite literally anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere but Miami. But I think, teams like Brooklyn or something like that, like they're just, the timeline doesn't work. They don't need to pick up a big contract when they're trying to rebuild. So I think someone that is looking to compete, again, like the Rockets, the Warriors, who are could make the room. It would
be cool to see Curry and Butler together.
That would be.
I don't see it happening, but
I don't either. But it would be an interesting tandem, though.
Yeah.
It's funny to go back. I think there's been a lot of problems with the front office. To say again, Pat Riley is very set in his ways. Pat Riley is very stern. He's not afraid to say no to anyone. He said no to players many times when it's coming down to contracts.
Yeah.
We've seen big stars in the past leave, since Pat Riley's been in the front office, which has been forever, it feels like. But, you know, he was not afraid to set his ground on Butler in the offseason when Butler was talking, or sorry, even before the offseason, just last season when Butler was talking and just, you know, talking shit and stuff like that. Pat Riley wasn't afraid to jump in and say,
Right, yeah.
Stop. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, cut it out. You know what I mean? Pat Riley isn't afraid to open his mouth and let it be known.
Right.
So,
yeah.
which I think Jimmy did not appreciate, and I think that's kind of when the rumors really started to pick up.
Makes sense.
That, you know, Jimmy wanted out, but I think he formally asked for his for a trade. I think on Christmas, actually.
Was this in private, or was
this was kind
interview?
of this was kind of a private thing. This was a whole separate thing from this one.
Okay, yeah.
He asked for the trade from Miami.
Okay.
You know, Miami didn't really do anything for it. For it. And then, you know, just the other day we see this. So now we're here, and Jimmy Butler's made it clear to the world that he wants out.
People know.
Everyone knows now. He's sending it out for everyone to see. So yeah, Jimmy Butler wants out.
How soon do you see this trade happening?
That's tough.
It is tough.
That's tough because I think the Rockets are going to be. Not the Rockets. I think the Heat are going to be really picky with how they trade because, I mean, you suspended him for 7 games, so you're kind of already accepting the fact that he's going to be out
within the 7 games.
It could be. I think maybe towards the end. I think you got to give it another week, or maybe another week or so.
Okay.
At least I think they're going to take their time. They're going to do their homework and see what they can get.
Sense.
There's no reason for them to really, you know, hurry this process up. Butler's not doing them any favorites. Butler's, you know, putting it all out there, so who cares?
Yeah.
They're going to be paying the contract and regardless, so might as well just hold off, you know, another week or two until you can find a good trade partner. Because who cares what Butler wants at this point? Like, he's screwed over you guys. Well, both of them screwed over each other. I think. I think it's just both bad for both sides. But you know what I mean. It's not like Butler's doing them any justice. So
yeah,
I give it like another week or so. I don't think this is anything that comes tomorrow or the day after. I think this is going to take its time, and it could take even up to the trade deadline.
Yeah, I can see that too because I think they're going to weigh all available options and they're not going to try to make the first move, obviously, because they have a superstar on their hands. They can do whatever they want.
Right. They don't need to. And he's going to be out regardless anyway, so it's like...
Whatever.
Just...
Take your time.
Take your time.
Get the most you can out of it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's an interesting story. And something similar like this has happened now in the NFL with Tyreek Hill.
Still in Miami, too. It's a Miami... There's a problem in Miami. I don't know what it is.
It wouldn't be me. I'd be so happy in Miami.
Yeah.
Florida has what? Is it no taxes on?
Yeah, they something. Yeah, I think it's no taxes. I don't think they get taxed on their salary, which is really good.
So
I think Jimmy said he loves the city of Miami.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Miami's great. You know what I mean? For an athlete, absolutely love the city. Absolutely love his teammates and stuff. I don't think he had anything bad to say about that. I think literally what it came down to was just management, upper office needing to get out.
Yeah.
But again, we're gonna go into this again. Tyreek Hill said the same thing. Miami's a great place to be. Miami's a great place to grow up with your family, according to them. So Miami isn't the problem itself; it's the organizations, and that was the problem that we had here with Tyreek Hill as well. Same thing, the Dolphins didn't make the playoffs this year. They're not competing. They're not good. Tyreek Hill is a competitor. Jimmy Butler is a competitor, excuse me, and they want to win. You know what I mean? And Tyreek, both of them actually still don't have much time left in their careers.
Yeah.
They're
aging.
They're aging, and Father Time's coming down to get them pretty soon. So, Tyreek's doing, or according to him, he's doing what's the best for his career. He said,
I get it.
Post game interview, he's leaving the door open, and he thinks he's on his way out.
This is my first time. I haven't been in the playoffs, man. So. I mean, for me, like I said, man, I just got to do what's best for me and my family, dog. If that's here or that's wherever the case may be, man, I'm finna open that door for myself, dog. As I'm opening the door, like I'm out, bro. So it was great playing here, but at the end of the day, bro, I got to do what's best for for my career and what's best, because I'm too much of a competitor to be. Just out there.
Mean you thinking about leaving here?
If it is,
So,
but here's the difference. Is that I actually respect Jimmy way more than I do Tyreek Hill. So this Tyreek Hill stuff is pissing me off, while the Jimmy stuff I kind of understand. And I understand both of them, but it's pissing me off that Tyreek Hill has to take it publicly and say, I'm out.
I think Tyreek's was worse. I don't respect either of them. That's my
You
take
don't
on it.
respect
I don't
either
like
of
either one
Really?
of them.
I think Jimmy's a cool dude, though. You don't like him?
No.
Okay.
No. As a especially as a Celtics fan.
Yeah, okay.
But even regardless, in his career, he's too much of a diva to be at 35 years old. He talks too much and he can't back it up. I mean, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but like, what success do you have to really show? You've made the finals twice and you lost them both.
Oh yeah.
And in those years besides that, like, I don't know. I don't think you can really do much to back up his talk. I think he talks too much about it more than he really goes out there and competes.
That's fair. I mean, he should definitely do more, but I mean, he hasn't been given. We talked about this. He hasn't been given the pieces.
I mean, I still feel like the Heat. I mean, compared to other years, I think the Heat roster is probably at worst, but it's still they got some decent players around them. Bam, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. Do you know what I mean? They've got other guys.
I agree.
But like, again, we'll move on. We'll move back on to Tyreek Hill though.
Whenever something happens, I'm willing to go back and talk.
Oh no, we'll definitely come back and talk about this because he will get moved. But again, same thing with Hill. We'll come back because he's definitely going to get moved in the offseason. It seems like he really does not want to be there after the loss to the Jets. Again, like I said, he said the door's open and I think I'm on my way out. I appreciate all my time here. He tweeted out as well. He said, "Love Finn Nation, blessing all, open doors for the Hill family forever. Nothing but love and respect." So again, he's showing his gratitude, for the fans, for the city.
As he should. I feel like that's the bare minimum that you need to do for the fans that root for you for years.
Right.
What pisses me off though is him sitting out in the fourth and McDaniel not knowing what happened.
McDaniels had no idea. He
said he had no idea.
Yeah,
He said he was told it wasn't an injury thing and that Tyreek Hill wasn't playing in the fourth. So he whined. He complained. He said, I'm not doing this anymore. This is the last game we're playing this season. I'm not having any fun right now. It's the same situation.
It's a sore loser mindset.
It's a sore loser mindset.
For someone who says he wants to compete, you know what I mean? And
it's annoying.
It's annoying. You know what I mean? Guys, you're not supposed to do this. You're a professional athlete. You can't sit out in the last game of this season and just be like, I don't feel like playing because we're not going to make the playoffs, so who cares? It's selfish.
You just signed your contract too.
Right. You
I'm
just got the
at
extension.
5-year contract, bro.
Yeah, you just got the extension. So
you know how much you're screwing the team?
You screw. Yeah. He doesn't care though.
Forcing their hand.
That's how greedy he is. He's selfish. He doesn't care.
He is. Yeah.
He doesn't care. But to honestly, I don't think this is really going to have any effect when it comes down to trade, because again, the teams know what they're getting. It's going to be his last team.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna.
Most likely.
I think he's gonna have probably a say, maybe not where he wants to go though. I think he'll have some kind of say, potentially. I don't know if he has any trade clauses. I don't know. No, he doesn't.
No.
But again, who knows where he ends up? He'll probably end up in a contender though, who wants to trade for him.
Back to the Chiefs potentially. That'd be interesting.
That would be pretty crazy if he went back to the Chiefs.
I say interesting, but I'm also rolling my eyes as I say it because
it seems like just something that would happen.
Yeah,
he would have it. I don't even know. I have no idea where he's gonna go right now. Again, this is too early to kind of tell with the.
This just happened.
It literally just happened just within hours ago.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say as of right now. You know what I mean? Where he's gonna go, where the lead front runners are.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's gonna be more competing teams, and he's gonna again want to be at the top of the depth chart. You know, wide receiver. Wide receiver too.
It's giving Stephon Diggs over and over again.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Right.
He'll go to a contender though.
He'll go to a contender. I mean, maybe Buffalo. I mean, I know they got Coleman now.
They're very happy with the way that their system runs.
I don't think they need to do it at all though.
Josh Allen said that he enjoys spreading the ball out and not having to force a pass to their greatest receiver, which was Stephon Diggs at the time. So, and
Josh having a career year now because of that.
Yeah. So clearly that works.
Clearly it's working. So they don't need to do that. But again, we'll come back to this. I think this is something we need to sit down maybe in the offseason and kind of reevaluate. Where is Hill going to go? Who are the front runners? What makes the most sense? And, what can the Dolphins get in return? Right. I think right now, again, as if just this happened a couple hours ago, I think this is way too early to tell.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy how this is all unfolding at the end of the season. So, the Dolphins are going to have a busy offseason this week.
Yeah, they are.
This
season. Off-season.
Yeah, off-season.
I get you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes. Again, he's kind of getting towards the end of his career, but who knows where he'll go. Again, it's probably going to be a contender. But
I want to stay in the division here and talk about the Patriots.
oh my god,
Because that's, I think, beyond just like people disowning their own teams, like Jimmy Butler and Tyreek, I'd say Mayo has been disowned, and it's all because of, well, there's a multitude of reasons I guess we can dive into, but the Patriots fire Gerard Mayo after beating the Bills on this Sunday 1:00 game that was meaningless, and it screwed the team over for, it probably put their rebuild back a year or maybe two, depending on how it goes. It pisses me off. It's a weird day. It's a weird day, weird week. There's a lot going on.
terrible, man.
I mean, how do you feel about Mayo being fired? What's your genuine reaction to it? Do you like it? Do you hate it?
I understand it. I think it's really soon. I honestly did not expect it to happen really not even an hour after the game. I would have thought if the soonest it would have been tomorrow morning, not within a half an hour after the game. I mean, it seemed like, Kraft kind of had his mindset like, all right, you're done after this game, man. But so what was the point of keeping him?
What was the point of
just because he's going to go, if he kind of knew he's going to get fired, why, he's going to go in there and try to win. I mean, not again, you're an NFL team, you should try to win every year.
Right.
Or every game, but
the fan mindset.
This was kind of that game where you're like, all right, man, maybe we should lose this one. And I think they might have tried, they put Milton in it, and Milton lit it up. Milton was actually
he's good. He's
insane game. I saw people making this comparison. I'll just pause this real quick.
Sure.
They're saying that Joe Milton is what everyone thought Anthony Richardson was going to be.
Yes, I saw that too.
Yep. I mean, again, he only played one game, though, so we can't assume, he's crazy insane. But, we got a little taste of Joe Milton, and it was, he played exceptional.
You did
for
play
his
against
debut.
second string defense.
He was still making some great plays, though. I'm not even gonna say that. He was making some great plays.
No, yeah,
some really good throws, and he balled out today. But this was a game that they should have lost.
Yeah,
they should have lost, even against the second strings, in the third strings. You know what I mean? They started Trubisky and then White. Yeah, both in the same game. They were trying to. I think the Bills were trying to lose the game. To be honest with you, I think
they were. Conspiracy theories that they wanted the Pats to lose because it doesn't affect them by losing.
It doesn't. They were gonna rest. Yeah,
why not screw the Patriots out, who can compete with them next year or the years afterwards for that one spot in the division?
Yep. They did it. They lost on purpose. They lost on purpose, and the Patriots won.
And Bills fans can really walk out of this game and just smile and just be like, "This didn't affect us, but we screwed over our division rival."
Right. The moral victory goes to the Bills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, the Patriots like, okay, cool, we got to win over the Bills, but on paper that looks cool.
Who cares?
And but it's it doesn't. It only screwed you by winning, and it's terrible, man. Because now you drop to the 4th pick, which is still good, don't get me wrong, but you could have the 1st pick, and what the Patriots probably would have done is traded back. They would have. We
were gonna do it anyway.
They were gonna trade back. They probably would have again got to the 4th pick because a team like maybe the Giants would have traded up to the 1st pick. We would have got maybe a 2nd round pick. Excuse me, and a first round pick next year. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm stuttering right here. I'm just so
tired.
I'm so flustered now. I'm so flustered right now because it's just so annoying, and potentially a player added into that as well. So again, like you said, this could hold back the rebuild a little bit. I think getting this first round pick or first overall pick really would have been huge for the Patriots. But I don't know. Here we are. So now it's who are you gonna go with that for? Or you still can trade back, but you're not gonna get the same value you would if it was first overall.
See, the thing is, I think a lot of people want Travis Hunter, and I was running through situations in my head. I don't think it's completely out of the equation that Travis Hunter drops to 4. No. I think with the needs of the Browns, the Titans, and the Giants, you could potentially see both quarterbacks going within those 3 picks, as well as I saw Titans fans saying that they want Abdul Carter, and they're thinking about trading out of the pick. So anything could happen. So you could still get Travis Hunter. It's just what you said. You're missing out on potential first-round picks next year or second-round picks also, and also just any other pieces that would just benefit and speed up this process.
Right.
Would have.
It really would have sped up the process, man.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I don't think. Well, to get back to the Mayo thing, right? Because he's the one who fell on the sword because all this happened. And I'm sure Covington is probably next. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Patriots drama in the offseason.
Yeah.
To me, it just kind of seems like they already have their mindset on Vrabel.
I think so as well.
It just feels very obvious to me.
It just seems like the front runner right now, honestly.
I know we were talking about earlier, and that's probably what you were about to say, right? Is other names that could be potentially a head coach, right?
I think this is potentially the most attractive, job opening out of head coaches in the NFL right now.
Sure.
You've got May, who's the franchise guy, who's going to be a potential MVP caliber player, exceptional guy who's still developing and growing.
Yep.
You've got the 4th overall pick. You know what I mean? You've got young guys. You've got some good players in there. I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot to, for head coaches to, or potential head coaches to look at and be like, okay, this is a job that I really want. I think names that pop into the equation, Vrabel, like we talked about.
Yep.
Ben Johnson's another name.
It's an interesting one.
I brought up earlier, this could be a fun one, bring him back. Pete Carroll would be a fun one, but I don't see that one happening.
Weird,
that would be weird, you know what I mean, him coming back, but he probably doesn't want to do that, and I just don't think, I think he ends up going to Chicago, in my opinion.
Oh, really?
That's my guess. I think
Makes
he ends up
sense,
in Chicago. But, guys like that, I think that'd be really interesting. Personally, I'd love to see. Well, I think Vrabel's gonna get the job. And don't get me wrong, I'd love that.
I think
but
it's
it's
like
not gonna be him.
95% chance.
Yeah, most likely. But they need to do an actual, instead of just giving the keys to Mayo without even really interviewing anyone. They need to go through the whole interview process. They need to see who's out there, who fits this role the best, and go from there. I think regardless, they're gonna go with Vrabel. But I think Ben Johnson's another name who they should really pick up.
And I agree.
The Lions offensive coordinator. Look what he's brought to the Lions right now. Look at how that offense is producing in as what they were a couple years ago. They're so much better, and a big part of it has to do because of Johnson. So I think if you have a guy like that running an organization like the Patriots, I think you could start to see a lot of success potentially.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I hope that they do take this long process to evaluate all their options, just like you said. I am scared that because the firing happened so quickly, that they are doing the same thing again, and they're like, we'll just bring back Vrabel because he has a history with the Pats and he has a coaching experience, so that's enough. Just take your time.
Yeah.
Don't do this right away.
You don't need to rush it. I think you should keep checking in with Vrabel if that's the guy who you think you really want to see kind of what he's getting out there for offers. I think he already interviewed with the Jets right now. I don't know if he's had any other interviews, but he's going to interview with other teams when those positions open up because there'll probably be more positions that open up.
Yeah.
But again, I think the Patriots' job is his job, pretty much.
Yeah.
But again, I think the Patriots they should check in with him, being okay. What are you being offered? Can we match that? Can we go higher? If you know what I mean, if they think that he's the guy, which I think we kind of all think he's going to be the guy, which again I'm super happy about because look what he did with the Titans. He was building a good culture with the Titans, and then you know what I mean. He got fired.
Should never happened.
He shouldn't have gotten fired when he did, in my opinion. But look what he started with the Titans. You know what I mean? And the Titans were good then. The Titans had a winning culture, and they all wanted to play for Vrabel because he was a tough coach who cared about his players and wanted to win. So I think that's something that this team needs.
Yeah, and I think right now the Pats fans are in despair after today's win, which shouldn't be true, but because of all the first round pick
it's a moral
reasons,
loss. It's a moral loss.
It's a moral loss. But we'll be happy in this offseason. Like there's still exciting things to come, and I'm excited. Just right now I'm a little upset. So
yeah.
We'll cover this more. There's going to be lots more Patriots coverage. I'm 100% certain about as things go on. But yeah, that'll do it for News Hour. Unless you have any last minute things to really say about that.
Again, we'll come back and we'll talk more in the offseason about this whole Patriots thing because I could sit here and rant forever, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of things that happened this season that were just super upsetting. But again, this is something we'll come back and we'll talk about a little more in depth. But yeah, let's get over to the playoffs because the playoffs are going to be coming up.
It's time to go into playoff prediction stuff. The seeding is finally complete. We're filming this on Sunday night right after the Lions game, and the Lions destroyed the Vikings.
Yep.
So this is what we're looking at for the playoff bracket. You guys are seeing it on screen right now. Connor's going to go through his predictions and who he thinks is going to win each game first, and then we're going to talk about it afterwards, and then I'll do mine, and we'll do the same thing. So Connor, if you want to take it off with the wild card matchups, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll start into wild card weekend. So our first matchup, we got the Broncos and we got the Bills. 2 versus 7 seed. I'm gonna take the Bills in this one. I think this is an easy one. You know what I mean? The Broncos are still a young team, kind of learning. Nick's in his first year has been incredible, leading the Broncos to the playoffs, ending that drought. But again, the Bills are just a powerhouse team.
Yeah.
I think they stomp over the Broncos to move on. Our next matchup, we got the Ravens and the Steelers. We got a nice AFC North matchup right here. Could be a very competitive game. Could be a very tight, close one. But in the end, I'm going to take the Ravens in this one. I think the Ravens, again, Lamar's playing like the MVP. I think the Ravens are a powerhouse team again, and I think they're going to run all over the Steelers, even though the Steelers have, a really good defense. I think the Ravens are still going to take this one.
Okay.
And our last AFC wildcard matchup, we got the Texans and the Chargers, which could be a fun shootout potentially. I think this has got potential to be a really good playoff game. This one I could see going either way. In my prediction, I'm going to take the Chargers in this one. We've seen the Texans take a step back a little bit from where they were. Stroud's kind of taken a little bit of a sophomore slump. I think the Chargers, have been really good under Harbaugh. They've been stepping it up, and I think they're going to step over the Texans in this time, to move on. So let's move on to the NFC now, the NFC wild card. First matchup, we got the Packers and the Eagles. I'm going to take the Eagles in this one. Again, this could be another really tight, close game. Both teams are really good. The Packers are now missing Alexander for the rest of the offseason now, as he just got hurt. I think the Eagles, are an offensive powerhouse. That's their specialty, along with a really good defense as well. I think they're going to stomp over the Packers offensively. I think they're going to put up a lot of points. Yep. So I'm going to take the Eagles in this one.
Okay.
Next game could be fun, potentially.
This is a good one.
Commanders Bucks. This is a rematch from the playoffs from a couple of years ago with Brady, but now we're looking at two completely different teams now. This time around, I'm actually going to take the Commanders over the Bucks.
Wow.
I think Jaden Daniels has been exceptional this season. I think the Commanders are starting to show that they are legit candidates. The Bucks, they've had their ups, they've had their downs this season. They're missing Godwin. Baker's been incredible though. He's been absolutely incredible.
Shining.
He's been stepping up, but again, I think the Commanders as an overall team have been better, and I'm going to take the Commanders in this one.
Okay.
Our last wild card matchup, we got the Vikings and the Rams, which this is I say this against all of them, but this could be another fun game potentially. Yeah. You've got stars, you've got really good receivers, you've got Kupp, you've got Nakua, you've got Jefferson, you've got Addison. These are all really good wide receivers. This is going to be a nice offensive showing. But in this one, I'm going to take the Vikings. The Vikings are just definitely the better team over the Rams. But again, this is another one I could see going either way. But I think the Vikings are going to take this one. I think they're a really good team. They, maybe not tonight versus the Lions, but
we're gonna
outside of that, they've been really good. They've been a really good team. They've only lost 3 games this season. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Vikings in this one.
Cool.
Darnold's been exceptional. So
yeah, let's go into divisional matchups now.
Yeah, so divisional matchups. So we got Kansas City, the number 1 seed.
Yep.
With my predictions, the lowest seed would be the Chargers winning. So that would set up a nice divisional matchup right there with the Chiefs and the Chargers. In this one, I'm gonna take the Chiefs. I don't see a scenario where the Chargers take this one.
Okay.
Again, the Chargers are a really good team, but the Chiefs are just the Chiefs. They're going to stomp over the Chargers again, and they're going to move on to the conference finals. Our next matchup, we're going to have Ravens and Bills. We've seen this game happen a couple times in the last couple of years in the playoffs. This is always an exciting matchup when these two teams play. This time, I'm going to take the Ravens.
Wow.
I get the Ravens, like I said, they've been a really good team. They've been a powerhouse. This is a matchup of 2 MVP candidates, but this time around, I see the Ravens taking it. I think Lamar shows the world why he should have been the MVP. Where it hasn't come out yet.
It hasn't even happened
yet. Odds are that Allen's going to get it, but I think Lamar's going to show why he is and / should be the MVP. And the Ravens are going to take this one. And over to the NFC, we got the Lions, and in my predictions, they would have the Vikings. So this would be a rematch from today. January 5th. This would be a rematch. This time around, though, I see it actually being a good game, not a blowout.
Okay.
So I'm excited for this game, but in this time, again, I'm going to take the Lions. I'm going to take the Lions over the Vikings.
So would it be the Lions and the Vikings in this scenario? Because you had the Commanders and they're the lowest.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I got a little ahead of myself.
It's okay.
Let me go back for a quick second.
Yeah, just fine.
Excuse me. It would because I wrote this all down. I got a little ahead of myself. Lions over the Commanders. I see the Lions taking this one. I think the Lions.
Still, yeah.
I think the Lions are still a really good team. The Commanders, have been really good this season, but I think the Lions overall have the way more experience in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Versus the Commanders. Jaden's still a rookie. Not to say that he's not going to compete with a good Lions team like this, but I think the Lions are just going to steamroll their way. Jahmyr Gibbs has been insane as well. I think they'll run all over the Commanders. I'll take the Lions easily on that one.
Okay.
Our next matchup, I'm going to take an upset here. It's going to be Eagles versus Vikings. I'm going to take the Vikings in this one.
Wow.
I can't really give too much statistical explanation.
There has to be some upsets.
There has to be some upsets, and I think this is one. Like I said, this is another really good receiver matchup. We've got Jefferson, we've got Addison, we've got Smith, we have Brown. I think there's been times this season where, the Eagles have shown their flaws in the passing game. Saquon's been exceptional, but you can't always rely on Saquon to make the plays. Not that he's not reliable, but you can't feed a guy, 30 times a game and expect,
People are going to game plan for that.
Exactly. I think the Vikings have a really good team. Darnold's been really good, so I'm expecting the upset right here.
Sure.
Again, I think the Eagles are easily favored in this matchup, but this is one that I see an upset happening. So I'm gonna take the Vikings in this one, which I'll stay here. Like I was getting ahead of myself. This is gonna be another. This is gonna be another rematch. From today. That's gonna be Lions Vikings.
Yep.
And like I was saying, the Lions are gonna take this one. Again, this is going to be another really good matchup. I think this is going to be a little more competitive this time. It's going to be a lot more high scoring. Well, the Lions scored. I think it's going to be high scoring for the Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to get their click. I think they're going to, they're going to study up on how to compete with the Lions a little better, learn from their mistakes. So this time it's going to be a little more of a fun game. I'm going to take the Lions again, though, to send them to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Going back to the AFC, though, we're going to have the Chiefs versus the Ravens. Another fun matchup, Mahomes versus Lamar. This time around, though, I'm going to take the Ravens.
Wow.
I think a lot of people have the Chiefs going just because, they're the Chiefs. They're going to try to three-peat. I think it's over. I think the Ravens are going to take it this time. I think the Ravens have been a much better team. Maybe the record doesn't show it, but the Chiefs have showed a lot of their flaws. Mahomes has had the worst career of his season. He's still been all right, but I think, they've had their down year, and I think this is kind of, where it ends. I think the Ravens have been really good, and again, Lamar's going to go out and show the world why he should be MVP, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And in my Super Bowl, I'm going to have the Lions and I'm going to have the Ravens. This is a fun offensive shootout game right here. A lot of guys who are going to make incredible plays. Again, Lamar, Gibbs, Amon-Ra. You've got Laporta. You've got
everybody.
You've got everybody. Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry. I could go on. This is an offensive powerhouse with two really good defenses as well. In this game, I'm going to take the Ravens.
Wow.
Now, again, this is a matchup that could go either way. I think Lamar is out to prove to the world why he's the best. He's already got 2 MVPs under his belt. He's going to have, he's had 2 MVPs under his belt. He could potentially go in for a third. I think this is the year that he gets the job done, and he fulfills his promise that he made when he was drafting. He said, I'm bringing a Super Bowl to Baltimore. I think this is the year that he does it. And I think, guys like Derrick Henry, who've been in the league for a while, get their Super Bowl, who are well-deserved. The Lions they're going to be back to compete next year, but I think this is the Ravens' year. So my Super Bowl winner of 2025 is going to be the Baltimore Ravens. So that's my insight on it. Drew, I'd love to hear yours and see your predictions.
Yeah, first I just wanted to comment on a few things from yours. I was thinking I was going to have a lot to talk to you about, but I agree with a lot of your choices.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to touch up on a couple things that'll be really cool to see from these matchups. Is the matchup that you had between the Chiefs and the Ravens.
Yep.
Right, in the conference final.
Yep.
So that's a week 1, what do you want to call
rematch?
It? Revenge game.
Yeah, because
right?
the Ravens got screwed out of the game. The Chiefs ended up winning that. That was one of those lucky black magic games because
that we were talking about.
Because Isaiah's likely toe was just barely out of bounds.
So that would be cool to see. So I'm with you on that. I love that. Another thing that I thought was very interesting was taking Jaden Daniels to beat the Bucks. I think the Bucks can be wishy-washy at times this season. I
Yep.
think a lot of it just has to come with, injuries probably, and at points losing. Well, they lost Godwin, and then they had Mike Evans out for a little bit. So that's interesting to see, and I'll talk about it in mine too. And also, it's interesting that you have the Lions losing this year because they're a powerhouse, and it will be tough to take them down. But I can agree, it would be nice to see Lamar win a Super Bowl.
I'd be cool with either one of them winning. I'd love to see the Ravens
honestly.
win it. I'd love to see the Lions win it. So I'm gonna be happy. If that's a Super Bowl matchup, I don't care. I just want to see a really good game.
Real quick, if you just had one that a team that you liked the most to win, right? If skill aside, you could just pick anybody to win the Super Bowl. Who would it be?
That's tough.
You don't even have to give a reason for it. You just say a team.
Buccaneers.
Buccaneers, yeah.
Buccaneers.
You like the Buccaneers like that?
I do like the Buccaneers like that since Brady went there.
yeah.
I love Baker. I've been pushing my agendas for him for years. It'd be amazing to see Mike Evans get it.
Yeah.
But I won't go too much further
You don't
into
need to,
that.
yeah.
But I'd love to see the Bucs win it. But that's not going to happen realistically. Lions too. Too.
Lions too. Yeah, that'd be nice.
I think it's more teams I wouldn't want to win it.
Yeah,
But
that's actually fair. So I'll get into my playoff bracket predictions, and let's start it off on the AFC side. And we have, I think you're going to see a lot of the similar picks from yours. We got Broncos Bills, so I won't go too much into it. We got Broncos Bills as our first matchup. I also have the Bills.
Yep.
I think they're just flat out just the better team. I think when it comes to Steelers Ravens in this next matchup, I also will have the Ravens winning this one. This one's a rematch of a couple weeks ago, and I just think nothing has really changed.
Yep.
Steelers are still struggling. The Ravens are actually blossoming right now, like they have all season, but they're doing really well right now. Then we get into the Chargers versus Texans. I also have the Chargers in this matchup. I think the Texans are falling apart at the wrong time, and I don't think just because they're the 4 seed doesn't mean that they actually deserve to be the 4 seed right now. And obviously not having Tank Dell and not having
Diggs
is it sucks.
Yeah.
I think the Chargers are a strong defensive team, and their O-line is crazy. J.K. Dobbins is back, and Justin Herbert looks really good. So, I can see the Chargers winning that game too.
Yeah.
Let's hop over into the NFC. We got the Packers and the Eagles. I'm going to take the Eagles here. The Eagles are a great team, and the Packers kind of proved today that they're a little bit phony, losing to the Bears. So I'll take the Eagles here. Next matchup between the Commanders and the Bucks. It's funny enough, I also have the Commanders beating the Baker Mayfield-led Bucks. This one is a close game, though, and this is one of those ones where I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks won, just because I feel like they're built kind of similarly in terms of offense. So, but, Jaden Daniels has proved a lot of people wrong this year, and I could see him doing some pretty crazy things in the playoffs. Give me the Commanders beating the Bucks.
Okay.
And then our last matchup of the wild card weekend is the Vikings and the Rams. I'm also going to take the Vikings here.
Yep.
I don't really have to really get into it. This one's a close one anyway. But give me the Vikings. I like the team a little bit better. So let's go with the Vikings here. And we'll hop over back into the AFC. So if I'm not mistaken, is this Chargers Chiefs, right?
Yep.
Or Chargers Chiefs.
Chargers Chiefs, yep.
Give me the Chiefs. I feel like the Chiefs are a powerhouse, and it's going to be hard to stop them. Not much to it. Next up, between the Bills and the Ravens, this is where I differ from you, Connor. I have the Bills beating the Ravens, and I wouldn't be upset if the Ravens won either. I think not for the and I want to see Lamar win MVP. So it's not for the reason that I think he's going to ball out. I think they're both going to ball out, as both quarterbacks are going to ball out. But the Bills, I like the Bills defense a little bit more. And I think the system that is working right now, despite losing to the Pats, who cares about that? That doesn't really matter for anything.
That doesn't mean anything.
Give me the Bills over the Ravens in the divisional matchups. Let's hop over back to the NFC. And that would be the Commanders versus the Lions. Give me the Lions. I think the Lions are the best team in football right now. I just don't think the Commanders will have enough to beat them. And then that leaves the Eagles and the Vikings. Give me the Eagles over the Vikings. So now we have in the NFC two talented conference teams where it's the Eagles and the Lions. We'll get back into that in a second. Let's hop back over to the AFC where we have Chiefs, Bills, and just like it was in I think it was week 10 or week 11 or maybe even past, I don't remember which week it was, the Bills beat the Chiefs. I have a repeat of that.
Okay.
I think the Bills are the better team, and I think the Chiefs are a little bit fraud. Again, Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes can be amazing at any time. They also are against Josh Allen. So I don't know. Just give me the Bills. Maybe a little bit of bias, maybe because I want to, or I want them to win. But give me the Bills over the Chiefs, and then back on the NFC, give me the Lions over the Eagles. I think that'll be a close game, and I think it'll be pretty high scoring. Gibbs and Saquon are kind of comparable, and the wide receivers are pretty comparable too. But the Lions' defense is better than the Eagles' defense in my opinion, and I just think they're coached a little bit better. Give me the Lions over the Eagles in that matchup, and we got a Bills-Lions Super Bowl. This one's tough because I wouldn't even be upset with either of these teams winning. I'm going to take the Lions beating the Bills in the Super Bowl.
I like that.
And for Bills fans, that's tough to hear. It's making it to the championship and losing again. Not that they've made it there in a while. I'm just saying, like, it's another
Those
losing
older
season.
fans from the 90s are getting flashbacks.
Exactly. They're getting a little bit of PTSD. But the Lions, they're a hard team to take down. And I don't think anyone in the NFL can really beat them. And I think it'll take a great game to beat them if someone does. But I think the Lions are a powerhouse, and they have been all season. So my NFL champion team is the Lions beating the Bills in the Super Bowl. What do you think about it?
I like that. We had a lot of similar takes in the. I think everything in the wild card we agreed on.
Yeah.
The Ravens and the Bills one, I think that's a really good matchup. I think, we said, it's a 50-50. To me, it feels like a 50-50 matchup.
It does feel like a 50-50.
I feel like it could go either way, so I can't even be mad at you for picking the Bills.
Yeah.
Completely understand that. I could see why someone would take the Bills as well. Another matchup that we had different, I think, was Vikings-Eagles.
Yep.
Again, I could see the Eagles taking that one. They're, a really good team. I think they're probably the better overall team, so I could see them doing that. Bills-Lions, though, I like that Super Bowl matchup. That's a fun one.
Nice.
I like that a lot. I'd definitely love to see that over Chiefs-Lions.
Two likable teams, too.
Yeah, for the most. I mean, if you're Patriots fans, like me.
Even then,
I'd root for the Lions.
It's true, yeah.
But even though I'd rather, to be honest with you, even though the division rival, I'd still rather have. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I would still rather have the Bills over the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So, I like that. I think those are some good matchups. I like your predictions too. It could go either way, but we'll come back and we'll see how we fare out during these playoffs. So maybe for Wild Card Weekend, I might make a little parlay. Maybe throw some lunch money on it or something.
Oh, a little bit of lunch money, huh?
A little bit of lunch money, and we'll see how that goes. So I think those would be some pretty good odds.
Yeah.
Again, like we said,
agree.
we had similar picks for the. Actually, we had all the same picks with the wild card. So
there's just a few picks that were different. So
yeah.
Not much to it. I'm excited to see what happens.
Absolutely.
They start this weekend, right? What's the first matchup? Do you know?
First matchup to start the week is going to be Texans-Chargers. It's actually funny. I was reading a tweet before we started recording. It was talking about how the Texans, every year that they make the playoffs, they always get Saturday at 3:30. I think since
Interesting.
I forget what year it was. It's been maybe their last 10 playoff games, to start the playoffs, has been Saturday at 3:30. So it's an annual tradition for Texans fans to watch their first round playoff matchup at 3:30 on a Saturday. Well, I guess for them it would be a different time zone. It'd be in the morning, but
yeah.
Yeah.
And we have them losing, so
yeah,
that's gonna be tough.
That's another game though I could see honestly going either way.
Yeah.
I think Stroud could ball out and be really good. Stroud has proven to do that. They still got Nico Collins. They're gonna have Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
The defense is still all right. So I mean, it could go either way, but I like we said, we'll take the Chargers on that one.
Oh yeah,
it's fun. I'm excited for that either way. But I want to move on.
Sure.
Let's go to our last segment of the podcast. Let's do a little fantasy redraft. So what I mean. It's been a fun fantasy season. This is for most of the leagues ended in week 17, but some week ended in week 18. But now the fantasy season is officially over, and we move on. So let's do a little redraft, a little recap, of kind of how the season went. So
Yeah, and I guess we'll just go through it just like who would be in a redraft situation the number 1 overall pick, and I don't know how you feel. And we're going 1 quarterback, right? 1 quarterback league, PPR.
Yeah, full PPR, 1 quarterback. Yeah.
I still, it's so tough. I feel like it's Chase. I feel like Jamar Chase is the number 1.
You think he goes number 1?
I feel like in a weak wide receiver class, I feel like he goes number 1.
Going into the season, though, did we think it was going to be a weak wide receiver year, though?
No. I guess we're doing it from the perspective of if we were going to redraft right now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, you know what? I agree with that. I think there's a couple candidates you could definitely have.
Who do you have? Who would you have number 1?
You know what? You make a good point with the weak wide receiver. So I will agree with you. I think Chase should go number 1.
Yeah.
In this, compared to just how other wide receivers have been playing, and how many running backs have been playing really good.
Yeah.
I think Chase should definitely be 1. But I think number 2, in my opinion, it comes down to either Barkley or it comes down to Gibbs. Now, we were talking about this literally right before we were recording, saying, oh, maybe, Barkley's, is the number 1 running back. But I ended up seeing that after this game, Jahmyr Gibbs ended up actually passing Saquon as the RB1 in fantasy this year. So now do we switch it to, I mean, I guess if you want to go statistically,
well,
do we just go Gibbs?
I would go Gibbs. I think Saquon was more clutch at times this season.
Right.
For people in their fantasy leagues. But and also Saquon didn't play this week, so we got to cut him a little bit of slack for that.
That is true. True.
I think
I'll go with Barkley. I think I was going to lean towards more Barkley.
I think Barkley
anyways.
would be a better pick for that. And I think you can throw Gibbs here if you want. Or we could switch over to maybe like a quarterback at going number 3, but it's kind of tough to take when there's, people like Derrick Henry still on the board as well as Gibbs.
I think skill positions definitely go a lot before they triumph, the need for a quarterback. I think quarterbacks usually go round 3 or 4, maybe, depending, just because the skill positions are more valuable. But
so what do you think?
I would hold off a little bit taking a quarterback for
Okay.
a while. But number 3, this could be fun. I think Justin Jefferson.
Jefferson, yeah.
That's my take on it. Again, like we said, weak wide receiver year. I think Jefferson still balled out. He had a really good year. So I think, Chase, Barkley, Jefferson. And then I think a lot of it's going to start going running backs. I don't know how you feel about putting Jefferson at 3, though.
I don't mind it. I just know that Gibbs and Derrick Henry had some pretty huge weeks that were for fantasy owners, and I feel like Justin Jefferson was Mr. Consistent in this scenario, where he was consistently getting around, like, in full PPR, like 18, 19 points every single week.
Right.
But Derrick Henry and Gibbs would put up more than, like, 25 some weeks, and then some weeks drop goose eggs of around 10.
Yeah.
I don't know what's better, and I think Mr. Consistency is a little bit better.
I think consistency is way better.
Yeah. So I think in this scenario, I'm okay with Jefferson at 3.
Okay.
I think Jefferson would... But I think you have to go Gibbs or Henry at the 4 and 5.
I think mine 4 and 5 for me. We'll just ball it out because it's going to be either Henry or Gibbs. I'm going to go Gibbs at 4, Henry at 5. Incredible running backs have been playing really well this season. Again, Jahmyr Gibbs ended up being RB1.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, I think, was RB3. Both had exceptional years, even with Derrick Henry being this old, getting older, you know what I mean? And on a new team, he still balled out. He still had an exceptional year. So, Gibbs at 4, Derrick Henry at 5. And I think that's a really good set 5 right there.
I kind of think that when it comes to wide receivers, there's a fall off coming really quickly. For running backs, there's not. There's still some really good running backs on the board.
Yep.
I don't know where to go here, running back or wide receiver. I think you could pull out the name Bijan. You could pull out A-Chain. You could pull out Josh Jacobs.
I was going to go Bijan at 6.
Bijan,
I think Bijan had a good year. And
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I like Bijan at 6.
I like Bijan at 6. I think Bijan at 6 makes sense. So, yeah, Bijan at 6. I like that.
Do we go running back again? Because there's still so many elite running backs. And the next few wide receivers are kind of all comparable when it comes to Amon-Ra. Well, see, that's my thing, is I feel like Amon-Ra is above the 4th place person, which is Brian Thomas, funny enough.
Yeah.
And I think Amon-Ra makes more sense
I
in this
agree.
scenario.
I agree. I would take Amon-Ra.
You take Amon-Ra in
I would
this
take Amon-Ra.
spot
Yeah.
over a guy if you had to redraft, right, and I told you, do you want A-Chain or Amon-Ra? You're choosing Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
Jacobs or Amon-Ra? You're choosing Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I go Amon-Ra here too.
Yeah.
But I then would follow it up with the next few running backs, right?
Yeah, I think running backs definitely end up going a lot here. The next couple ones. I think the next running back that probably goes might be I'd say Josh Jacobs probably. Josh Jacobs had himself a really good season, so I can definitely see him, going here in a redraft.
I could see it too. I think man, A-Chain had a decent season, but a lot of it was touchdowns. A-Chain's going to ball out next year though.
Yeah.
You just wait with
even with Tyreek gone too, now it's going to open up a lot more for him too.
I agree.
So that'll be an interesting one to see.
So yeah, you like Josh Jacobs at 8 here?
Yeah, I like Josh Jacobs at 8 here.
I think this could be a time where you could value quarterback as much as guys like A-Chain at this next spot, though. I don't know how you feel, though. Would you still go skill position at 9?
Yeah, I think I'd still
knowing
stay.
the season that Lamar and
I think Lamar maybe go a little earlier, but I think I'd still probably would stick. I think hindsight's 2020.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I guess you could take Lamar here, but I think realistically, if we're gonna do a real draft, kind of like on how it probably would have gone. I mean, we're doing it as of now, but if we're gonna do it kind of how it should have gone at the beginning of the season, I think skill positions still stay. After Josh Jacobs, I mean, I feel like it's probably maybe like Kyron Williams, maybe like James Cook, A-Chain.
they kind of feel I wouldn't pick them over the quarterbacks on the list, though. That's the thing.
So do you want to go quarterback here then?
Well, I'm trying to think of wide receivers. Would you pick CD over
I wouldn't, just because CD
Brian
got
Thomas too?
hurt.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too, and Brian Thomas too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would pick Brian Thomas over any of those running backs as well as the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm all for going quarterback here, and then going back to running backs.
Yeah, we can do quarterback then. I think the most obvious one is
Lamar.
probably Lamar. So do you want to just take quarterback? I think if you're gonna go quarterback here, you got to take on the next 2 or 3 picks.
Yeah, let's go Lamar.
So Lamar here, and then
Lamar 9.
Lamar 9, and then I think at 10 Josh Allen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Josh Allen because they're so comparable here.
Right. And that's the first round right there.
Yeah, and I like that. And I think then it comes back around at 11, or I guess the 201, right? We could probably go back to the running backs here.
Yep.
I'm thinking.
I'm just gonna
A-Chain?
pull up. Yeah, I'm A-Chain. I'm gonna pull it up on my phone. Sorry, I'm gonna look at the sleeper. The website's kind of
Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
The website's being a little confusing.
While you're doing that, I'll recap. The first round we got at the 101 we got Jamar Chase. At the At the 101 we got Jamar Chase. At the 102 we have Saquon Barkley. At the 103 we have Justin Jefferson. At the 104 Jahmyr Gibbs. At the 105 Derrick Henry. At the 106 Bijan Robinson. At the 107 Amon-Ra St. Brown. At the 108 Josh Jacobs. At the 109 Lamar Jackson. And at the 110 Josh Allen. And that would recap our first round. So we're gonna go over into our second round and see what we would have for that, because I'm curious how it would go too.
Yeah. So again, do we stick with this quarterback? Because Joe Burrow had an incredible season as well, but I think
tough.
it is tough. I think you hold off there.
I think you
though.
hold off.
I think you hold off a couple picks at least. Here, I would go Kyron Williams.
Over A-Chain?
Yes, I think statistically here, I think Kyron had the better season than A-Chain.
Okay,
It was still kind of close, but I think A-Chain probably goes a pick or 2 after.
Okay.
Probably honestly the next pick. But
I
I think Kyron should be the first pick of the second round.
Yeah, that would be that makes sense to me. I like that, because as long as A-Chain goes next, because I feel like A-Chain's in that same
I'm cool
tier.
with doing A-Chain next, and then yeah.
Cool. We'll do that. The 201 is Kyron. At the 202 is A-Chain.
Yep.
See, this is another one. Do we switch back over to wide receiver and take the fourth best wide receiver in Brian Thomas technically, or do we pick a guy like Alvin Kamara, who I know is out? I guess
Yeah.
James Cook has a lot of touchdowns this year.
He does. I mean, Alvin Kamara, he's missed the last 3 games, but he's been pretty consistent throughout the whole season. James Cook, sorry, I'm just looking right now. I'm trying to, go through the stats as of right now. James Cook had his ups and his downs, even though James Cook ended up scoring more throughout the year.
Yeah.
If I was going to go based off of consistency, though, and who I would want on my squad, I'm taking Kamara.
Oh,
I
yeah?
think I think I would
Even,
go,
what if you were in the championship and you needed Kamara to do it and he was just out? Yeah,
I'm not gonna. I'm not. I don't know if I'm gonna take that into consideration
Oh, no.
right now. But he missed the last 3 games just because. He got hurt, but the
Yeah.
Saints also just so bad. So there's no point of rushing him to stay.
Would you take Kamara over Brian Thomas?
I think in terms again of consistency throughout the season, I would.
Okay.
I would.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. I think. He had a really good season and he helped people in the regular season. It's just, hopefully, if you're this owner, you also have other good running backs to replace it.
Right.
That's the only way I can
Right,
see
for the
that working.
playoffs.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but after that, so we could go again. We can go Cook. We could go Connor. You could go BTJ. Chase Brown's another fun one that I don't think people have really expected to even pop up as
It was
as
nice.
a candidate. I don't know. Here, I probably would flop. I'd go back and go James Cook.
Yeah, me too. I was gonna say James Cook.
Yeah,
here.
I think James Cook for the next one makes sense.
But I think this is then when you switch back over to wide receiver
And go BTJ.
and you go BTJ.
I agree with you. I was gonna say that. I like BTJ there.
So now we're at the 16th pick, the 206. I think you could look at quarterback again.
You think Burrow maybe?
Either Burrow or Daniels. Probably Burrow.
Jaden Daniels finished as the quarterback 4. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
You're good.
Joe Burrow finished as quarterback 3. So if you want to go off of that, Joe Burrow had the better
Let's go
season.
Joe Burrow.
So I think Joe Burrow should go there.
Because I think I would rather have a strong quarterback in Joe Burrow over a guy like I don't know who's the next running back off the board.
I think James Conner would be the next running back off the board.
I'd rather Joe Burrow in this scenario over the wide receiver. Would I rather CeeDee Lamb? He did get hurt. I don't know.
He did, but CeeDee Lamb's still good though.
Would you rather him over Joe Burrow?
He still finished wide receiver 5. I probably would. I probably would still go CeeDee.
So let's go CeeDee after BTJ.
Yeah.
And then I'll just ask you again, would you rather Joe Burrow or Malik Neighbors this season? This season only.
Again, with fantasy, you want to
Skill position.
You want skill positions. Neighbors finished as the wide receiver 7. I probably would rather Neighbors.
Okay.
Terry McLaurin was wide receiver 6. He finished above Neighbors by a couple of points. Would you rather Neighbors or would you rather McLaurin? I mean, it doesn't. I guess they're pretty close. It
It's
doesn't really
tough.
matter.
I would rather. Oh man, that's so tough.
He finished the season with 104 receptions and 11. He had 1,140 yards with 6 reception touchdowns. Terry McLaurin 74 receptions, 1,034, but he had 12 TD receptions, so he had double the amount of TD.
I'd rather
receptions.
McLaurin in this scenario.
I would too.
Would you rather McLaurin or Connor?
McLaurin?
Yeah, probably.
Based off of the season that he had, I'd go with Terry.
So let's go Terry at 17,
Okay.
and then actually, I don't think you have. I don't actually think you take a quarterback in the second round at all.
No, you think you hold off even
I think
more?
you hold off and you keep going skill position just because we know
Okay.
so much now. So I think you could go either James Conner or you could go Malik Neighbors or you could go Jackson Smith in the Jigba.
I would probably go to Neighbors here.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm also looking at Chase Brown too, but Chase Brown doesn't seem that. Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, I would go.
I'd go Neighbors, but then I'd
Neighbors,
go back
yeah.
run to the running back right after.
Who? Connor.
I'd go Connor here. Connor still had a really good season.
I'm
But-
trying to take my bias out from playoffs because I know there's a
Yeah.
lot of people like Jonathan Taylor had an incredible playoffs for a lot of fantasy people.
He did, but as a whole season.
As a whole
though,
season,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, no. So I think Connor, and then I think you go Brown here. I think Brown, just barely missed 1,000 yards, 7 rush touchdowns, 4 reception touchdowns. So
Yeah.
I think he had a really good season.
Over a guy like Chuba Hubbard?
I would say so. I mean, Brown. I mean, they were very kind of close, like points wise. I think Brown finished above Chuba. So I guess you could go either way. Personally, I'd probably go Chase Brown. I think he was a lot more consistent, had a lot more explosive games.
Yeah.
Especially in the back half of the season than Chuba. But if you want like consistency since like the first half, I guess you could go Chuba. I think Chuba started stronger than Brown did, but I think Brown had a lot more bigger games.
So, when it meant most.
Yeah, that's why I think I would go Brown.
Let's go Chase Brown, but I think Chuba is right there, right afterwards.
I agree with you.
So, but Chase Brown rounds up the second round, so we'll go over the second round right now. The 201, Kyron Williams. The 202, A-Chain. The 203, Alvin Kamara. The 204, James Cook. The 205, BTJ. The 206, CeeDee Lamb. The 207 is Terry McLaurin. The 208, Malik Neighbors. And the 209 and the 220 are 2 running backs, James Conner and Chase Brown. And that rounds out the second round. But just like we were saying, the 301 would be Chuba Hubbard, right?
Yep.
I like that pick. And we're only going to do 3 rounds, by the way. So not too much. We're just going to finish up this round. Also, it's worth noting that Joe Burrow probably falls in this round, and so does Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. Other than that, I think those are probably the only quarterbacks that probably would get.
Jalen Hurts maybe, but he got injured, so
He did.
I don't really know. And
I don't know. I think those are probably the only other 2 that should go like in the top 3 rounds.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Some interesting other running backs that we have to consider is Bucky Irving, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Breece Hall, and Jonathan Taylor. So I don't know about wide receivers. Does Jackson Smith needs to be in this round?
Jackson Smith finished as the 8th best receiver. What did he finish with the year? 96 receptions on 1,121 yards, 6 touchdown receptions. So, yeah, I definitely think he needs to fall in this round.
I don't know how soon.
I don't know how soon either. This one's tough. I'm not opposed to just going quarterback here and going Burrow.
Okay.
I don't know how you feel about that, unless you want to stick with the skill position.
I'd be down to go Burrow. Burrow came clutch in the most recent weeks, so I mean.
I'd like to go Burrow. I think, again, like Burrow, besides the fact that, the Bengals, for what their standards were, they didn't have such a great year, although they finished the year really strong. They almost made the playoffs, but they didn't. He still played like an MVP, so I think he put up some really good stats. He was really consistent.
Yeah.
Throughout fantasy wise, so yeah, I would go Burrow here.
I'm down for that.
Okay.
And I think I'm looking at it right now, and I think that either a dude like Jerry Jeudy or Drake London, I would put Jackson Smith here actually above them.
Just because Jackson Smith finished
JSN.
just better.
You down to put JSN at 20 at the? I guess it's the 303 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go JSN. And
How do you feel about Drake London right after that?
I feel like he's very comparable to guys like Jerry Jeudy and Mike Evans and Garrett Wilson. I feel like all of them could fall in the same range. I feel like I don't mind that.
To me, it just feels like Drake was probably the more consistent out of the pair. Jerry, I think he finished higher than Drake, barely fantasy-wise. I think Drake was just a lot more consistent when it came to points, per week. So I would personally go Drake over Jeudy, but
That's fair. I would too. No, I would too.
But again, I could see why you'd go Jeudy. You know what I mean? But
I think they're right
personally
after each other, to be honest.
Yeah. You want to do that? You want to go Drake than Jeudy?
I just want to ask you, though. So I think all these 4 receivers should be back-to-back, to be honest. Just based off, like, wide receiver necessities go quick.
Yep.
So it's like, because these are all in the same point range, I feel like they all just go back-to-back.
Yep.
Does Bucky Irving beat any of these wide receivers? If I said, would you rather Bucky Irving or Drake London? Would you say?
To be honest, I think there's another running back that we haven't thought of that I think I'd probably ride over Bucky Irving. I think Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, Jonathan Taylor.
I think after the running backs we've already drafted, Joe Mixon, Jonathan Taylor, and Aaron Jones are all above Bucky.
Oh, for real?
So I don't know if I would go. I don't know if Bucky. How many more picks do we have left in the third round?
We have like 7 more. Yeah, 7
I don't
more.
know if Bucky makes it into the third round. I think he definitely falls in the fourth round, though, if
Yeah.
we were to do that. I just don't know. Bucky had a really good season, don't get me wrong, but I think there's other guys who statistically finished better.
It's also
Barely,
fair.
though.
I'd go JT here.
You'd go JT here? I
Only
like that.
because I feel like he was a league winner.
He was a league winner. You know, he played
And that
exceptional.
means a lot.
He does. He played really well the past couple of weeks. He had at least 24, you know what I mean, his last 3 games, you know,
Yeah.
really good in the playoffs. So, yeah, I would go JT here.
Let's go JT, and then do you think there's any other running backs that fit over all 4 of those wide receivers that I mentioned, or 3, whatever you want to say?
I think Joe Mixon statistically finishes above Judy and Garrett as well. Now we're going under 200 points in total. Jared Judy with 196 pretty much, and Joe Mixon finished with 200 and pretty much just 220.
But do you, with so many running backs now off the board, and there's very few good wide receivers left, does that beat the fact that Joe Mixon had just a few more fantasy points? Because
I see what you're saying.
To me, I'd rather a good wide receiver than a decent running back at this point.
I do what you're saying, and now that I look at it, Joe Mixon did have his ups and his downs throughout the season,
Yeah.
especially the last 4 games were not good. So you know what? I actually will agree with you. I think we should take a wide receiver here.
Okay.
I think
Drake.
Judy. Well, didn't we already do Drake?
We didn't do Drake. I had JSN, then JT. Unless you think Drake.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then yeah, I think it should be Drake here. Excuse me. I thought we took Drake already. Yeah. So then I think it should be Drake
And
and then Judy.
Judy. Judy was good these last 6-7 weeks. It's kind of crazy. And then, I mean, would you go Garrett Wilson here, or would you go Mixon? Mixon was so inconsistent this year.
He was. That's why it's hard. I'd go Garrett. Just looking at it, Garrett was a lot more consistent than Mixon was.
Yeah, I agree. So it goes Drake London, Jerry Judy, Garrett Wilson. We have 3 more picks. I think Jaden Daniels has to be mentioned soon.
I think we probably should take Jaden Daniels probably relatively soon.
Here, yeah. Or even soon. I wish...
I'm fine with making Jaden the next pick. He finished as the
Puka?
QB4. Puka was hurt a little bit this season.
I know, that's tough. Puka's the top of the 4th round, by the way. If there was a 4th round, he'd be there.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm looking at the other wide receivers. There's Mike Evans. There's Ladd McConkey.
Ladd's a really good one. Ladd had a really good rookie year.
He was very consistent.
He was. Mike Evans was hurt for a lot of the season, even still finishing as a wide receiver 12 though. So he was still playing really well when he was healthy. I think Ladd's been a lot more consistent. He's been a lot more healthy. So maybe we think about taking Ladd over
Mike.
Maybe
they go back to back. Can we go 5 receivers in a row and then take Jaden Daniels as our last pick?
I mean, what else do we have for running backs? If we just had to look real quick, that we haven't taken. Let's kind of see. So kind of on the border,
Mixon, Jones, Brees,
Bucky, Montgomery, even though got hurt, Hall, Najee. I'm cool with going wide receiver here and then going running back.
So wide receiver, only one wide receiver, and you think it's Ladd?
I would go Ladd. I would go Ladd here.
Let's go Ladd, and then let's go name a running back that you think goes at 29.
That goes after Ladd. I would probably say. I would say Joe Mixon.
You think so?
I think Joe Mixon has to go there. Yeah, he finished again wide receiver. Not wide receiver. He finished for RB13. He had a really good first half of the season. The second half, not as good.
Just sucks he's in that spot. I feel like he could have been so much better.
Yeah, I think
personally, it's so tough. Yeah, I think you have to put Joe Mixon just because of his strong start.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if someone was like, yeah, I'd rather Bucky or Jones or
I can understand
Brees.
that. Yeah.
I can understand it. But Joe Mixon's strong start, I think that that boosts him into that spot. But I think we were saying that, Jaden Daniels is probably a top 3 round pick. So I think you just have to finish the draft with Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
You agree?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah. So that would conclude the third round, and that would mean at the 301, we have Chuba Hubbard. At the 302, Joe Burrow. At the 303, it's JSN. At the 304, JT. At the 305, Drake London. At the 306, Jerry Jeudy. At the 307, Garrett Wilson. At the 308, Lad McConkey. And at the 309, Joe Mixon. And to round out the draft, at the 310, we got Jaden Daniels. And I think that's a pretty good draft.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I mean,
There's definitely some picks you could swap out.
Especially in the third round. You
yeah,
can swap
especially
out a
in
ton.
the third. Yeah, you definitely could in the third round. I think it definitely gets a little trickier.
But I feel really solid about that first round.
Yeah, I think the first round we kind of nailed that one.
Yeah, I agree.
Second round, a little bit. I think the third one can be tossed up a little bit.
For sure.
I think that's up to kind of your personal opinion, but
I
still think it's good either way. But again, let us know in the comments what you think, if you change something different, or if you'd go someone else higher, lower.
Yeah, for sure. If
Somewhere
anyone
we snubbed. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. But I mean, that's kind of it for the redraft. I mean, I'd be down to do a rookie one in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a rookie redraft.
Absolutely, that could be fun.
So I mean, there's a lot of content coming because it's now playoffs and there'll be an off season. So a lot of news coverage to come. A lot of games that we can play based off that, just to wait for the next season, because it's gonna suck when football's not around. But there'll still be stuff to talk about for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel about today's episode? I had a good time talking about it.
I had a good time too. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I like the draft. That was fun. It
Yeah.
was different. So, we talked a lot about a lot of important sports news that we still were missing some. It was a really big news week for sports, but these are some of the biggest ones out of the week.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think it was a big sports week to talk about, but that was fun making our playoff predictions. We'll see kind of how that goes. How we fare out, what we get right, what we don't get right.
Correct.
But,
Yeah.
again, we had a lot of the same ones, so we'll see how that goes.
And we'll see how far the Ravens actually go and how far the Lions can go.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to talk about. But that'll basically wrap it for. Is this episode 9? This is episode 9, right? This is episode 9.
Yeah, this is episode 9.
And this would mark the second upload of the week. Little double upload week because episode 8 was a little bit later. But that's basically it for today. If you don't follow us on socials, we've been consistently posting on TikTok and Instagram. So be sure to follow them. They're in the links in the description. If you have any other suggestions on topics we can talk about soon, be sure to comment those too. And just subscribe for more. I mean, we're doing this just for fun, and we're having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be it from us. Do you have anything you want to say before we go?
Hey, always a great time.
It's always a great time, man. Always hear it inside the trailer. We'll see you back for episode 10 next week.